Okay, hello everybody. I'm sitting here with the absolutely fabulous Amy Porter. If you don't know who she is, I don't know what kind of rock you've been living under. She's amazing and wonderful, and we're going to interview her here to reinvigorate my Coffee Corner series. So,
Yay!
yes, what are we drinking today?
I'm having the dark roast from Sweetwater's here in Ann Arbor with almond milk.
Okay, so the first thing that I ask everyone that I interview is, what brand of flute do you currently play, and what drew you to that instrument?
I currently play the Haynes flute, and I was drawn to the instrument because of its lineage, its sound, and the fact that it could teach me something new. But I believe that the birth of this silver flute in America came from these jewelers, these two brothers, Haynes, and I think it's so beautiful. And I went and visited the factory and the people, and it's just a really beautiful company to find. And I found them, and I actually said to Alan Weiss in Manchester, England, I'd like to work with you because I don't know you. I wanted to work with someone who wasn't going to make me happy because they were saying what they thought I wanted to hear. That they'd take my instrument and find what they thought my voice could be, and they listened to me for a while. It took about a year and a half. We talked and we worked it out, and it's an incredible journey to get to finally own that flute. And I have one flute. I'll say it again. I have one flute.
So, where did you go to school, and what degrees do you actually have?
Actually?
Do you actually have?
Oh my goodness. I went to a small school in Delaware from 7th grade on through senior year, where that's very important to me. Because that's where my husband Jeb Bogue and I met at 13 and he was 14.
And was it an art school?
It was not. I was pretty much the token crazy classical musician, and they put me up in front of everybody. They make me conduct the chorus, and one time Jeb came into the back of the chorus saying, "What's Porter doing up there?" And they said, "She's really tough, she's conducting." So they gave me all these opportunities, I say that word again, if I didn't have those, it would have never landed me into the Juilliard School with Samuel Barron. So 1982, I land in Juilliard and I get into the top orchestra.
Nice.
No one liked me at that point. That was bad. And then after that, I stayed on to get a master's degree. And then came the fateful day when I had these 2 degrees that are just up to my left on the wall. And I had no money, zero money, and I had a music stand and my flute and the Mozart concerto I walked in with.
Mm-hmm.
I was level playing field. But I'd say the number one thing, and I was asked very recently to name my why for the flute. And I couldn't come up with it for about a week until I realized that I figured it out. I'm a healer. And so when you are a healer through music, you go around, you just play. You play whatever you're asked, in the style in which you're asked. So if I'm meant to then park myself at the University of Michigan and still be Amy, that's where I'm going to blossom. And I've been here 19 years.
Wow.
Only being myself, right? No one asked me to be at until last year. No one asked me to be at a major music festival, right?
Mm.
No one was retiring. I had to make stuff up, right? So I created Anatomy of Sound 16 years ago. I was the first to do Impulse. I was on the first round of Impulse for high school flutists. So I think I just became more myself. And so I'd say the big advice would be name your why for the flute and go and do that. Now, if it's orchestra, you have to say, yeah, you are willing to fight the fight for the American Symphony Orchestra in every basement of every major hall. You are ready to play Afternoon of a Faun at 8 o'clock a.m. in Nowhereville for 300 children. You are ready to do outreach. You are ready to play in quintet with other people who don't really want to play extra services. You are ready to drive 200 miles one way. You are ready for that. And I don't think, give that information when we're saying, do you want to audition for this orchestra?
Yes.
Now, I have done that, and I would do it again if I wasn't here. But I found my calling is to train you all because I've done it all.
How many auditions for permanent positions did you take before you landed your first permanent?
So lucky.
7. And
Now, don't you know I did count? I was just like trying to get out of it.
Well, what was your
take
first
42.
permanent position?
Atlanta.
Atlanta. Okay.
And guess what? I got it 2 weeks after my mother died. And then, right, it was horrible. So I spent like 3 years kind of mourning the process of parents die, Alzheimer's. Then my father passed away the first 1 year later, right? I know, right?
All at once.
I know, it was terrible. So many things went down that I didn't know if I was any good anymore. So Muramatsu, love them, sent me the Kobe competition brochure. I'll never forget, it fell on the floor and I was like, oh, wow, that's in Japanese. And I picked it up off the floor. It was a big booklet. It was the competition application. And I asked the Atlanta Symphony if I could leave, and they said no. I asked them 3 times. They said no. But miraculously, they came back and said yes. So you see, I did not ask a 4th time, and they came back.
Mm-hmm.
I can't tell you enough how when you let go and you just let yourself enjoy the opportunity and stop controlling, that's when everything comes for you.
And what was the impetus for the change in your life when you decided to go from Atlanta and take this opportunity?
Oh, I love this story. So it was those epiphanies of Pink Panther in 90 degree heat and raindrops keep falling on my head with a glow and playing Fawn at 8 a.m. And I'm thinking, I have more to offer. And I had this idea of teaching these caprices that I had learned by myself over 8 years by Carl Gaylord. And I wanted to do something with those, and I kept thinking I needed to do projects, but anyway, a very smart man named Peter Whitty at the time was a professor at Kennesaw, and he shook a piece of paper in front of my face and said, don't you want to get back to your solo career? And it said, Professor of Flute, University of Michigan. And I went, how did you know? And he said, well, you talk about it enough. And that's very amazing because he became Dean of UMKC and now he's president of the University of the Pacific. So you can't, this man is very smart. He listens to his friends and he guided, he said, I went there and I'm a Juilliard girl. I don't know Michigan. I never heard of, where's Michigan? And there's this stigma. Oh my God, it's terrible.
Do you have an opinion or any insight as to whether it really makes that big of a difference going to a conservatory versus going to a university?
It does. So your relationship with your teacher can be a conservatory relationship.
Yes.
But I cannot make this a conservatory outside my door. I cannot take back what you have to take. I can't take away all those academic classes. I can't take away your remedial theory. I can't do any of that. That a conservatory, absolutely, Juilliard is a trade school where we lock down and we just do music all the time. And then once you are doing your craft so well, then you can expand. They have courses at Columbia and all that, but I really think that you are shown to hone your craft. In this room, I have the Juilliard education, and then when you leave me, you can continue that in your head, you can continue that in your playing, my lineage all over the walls of my teachers and my knowledge that they've passed along to me. That's the Juilliard education, according to me.
Now, this brings us to one of the more exciting portions, I think, of what this interview is going to be.
Exciting!
Since you have moved on now to being a professor, it has opened you up to allow you to really explore all the other projects that you've actually wanted to do. Can you talk a little bit about how you did your first DVD? What made that happen and how that allowed you to then break into your other study guides.
I'll tell you about my inspiration of why. My teacher, Jeannie Baxtresser, she had on the piano her edition of the orchestral excerpt book that is so famous now.
And was that before it was published?
Yes, and it's incredible. I saw this, I'll never forget it. It was, before you walk up to something and take lots of pictures. Your cameras were this big, so I'll never forget it. I have an imprint in my head. And that scholarship never left my spirit. But this was 2004.
Uh-huh.
So now in 2005, I get a grant. I took fabric from my dining room curtains and I tacked it to the wall. I bought gladiolas from Kroger. I put them on the piano. Go back to this scene and you'll say, oh my gosh. And Dave Shaw was out in the hallway hushing people. It was May. And Chris Boyce, producer, was holding up cue cards. And I was using my fairy tale voice. And that's the Carr-Gaylor DVD. Okay, so I get here to Michigan. I go 18 students times 30 caprices. If I say it once in front of the camera, they can just press play. Now, some people say, well, why would you tell your student what to do first? And I think it's awesome. I've just saved time, right? Go listen to me play it. Go listen. I have like 3 seconds worth of information. Go do your thing. Come back. They just knock them out. So Carr-Gaylor is then reproduced on something called Passacaglia. I recorded the lectures in one day, and the next day came back in and recorded all the performances in a row in 7 hours. So
this jumps perfectly into a couple of my wrap-up questions.
Great.
How do you like to structure your practice? What does a typical practice day look like for you?
Luxurious. I love to practice. And I know that's odd, but I do when I have the time.
That is odd.
And so I practice at the end of my teaching day. Generally, I come home, and no offense to everybody, but I kind of do this. I tend to be able to take on my students' maladies. I joke with them, I've given you my genetic predisposition to messing up on that note, right? So, but I take on what they're playing, and I'm sure that teachers who teach in the trenches, you're teaching 30-minute lessons, and you go home and you wonder what your sound is really like, right? So I come back to warming up again, and just a little bit, and then launching into what I need to do. What's my next concert? I'm booked through 2020. So with Trail of Tears coming soon to places. So I will run Trail of Tears probably 2 months before I have to play it. Keep going, Michigan Chamber Players, there's always rehearsals. So the practicing is kind of for whatever specific rep I'm playing.
Sure. Final 2 questions.
Okay.
Just random trivia, easy answers. Do you have a favorite go-to etude book? Do you have a favorite go-to scale study book?
Taffanel Gobert 12. I don't feel natural and normal if I haven't done
Number
that.
12 of the scale book.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And I'd say my favorite etudes.
I know it's a hard question,
I-
but this is fascinating to me.
Altez.
Okay. Yes.
Henri Altez was one of the, he succeeded to Lou, I believe, at the Paris Conservatoire, and his method book is unparalleled. Henri Altez is a teacher of the bow and flute that we should really pay attention to. And you see some discrepancies between his teaching and then the Moïse de la Sonorité. And I had to actually, again, make a choice, scholarly wise, right? So I chose Altez.
Well, thank you so much. This has
You're
been
welcome.
enlightening and refreshing. And I'm looking forward to doing more chats in the future. I hope you all enjoyed this video, and if you have any questions for Professor Porter, her information to be able to contact her will be in the description box below, along with links to make sure that you're able to find her website and all of the products that we talked about today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, of course.
This is a real necessity, but we also love it that you're a Michigander and native and bringing Michigan to the rest of the world, because it is my favorite place I've ever lived. So
It's fabulous.
we love Michigan.
See you all later.
Bye.